So dorky. Hey guys, how are you? Welcome, children. As you can see, I have gone full red and black for Halloween this year, the month of Halloween. I think I like it. I might keep it. Look at my spooky shirt. It's got skeletons. So anyway, welcome to the fourth installment of my Hive Mind original character creation video series. If you're new here, I've been working with my audience to make original characters based on live streams and surveys and stuff. Watch my older videos, I explain it better. And that's what we're doing today. So over time, I've been developing this process, and what we've ended up doing is having like one master survey that everyone fills out, which essentially makes it so that each person can only vote once. However, for this specific OC, we made it so that everyone could vote as many times as they wanted. So if there was one particular poll that they felt very strongly about, they could vote hundreds of times if they felt like it. I like having both poll systems in place, so I do plan to do this one again, probably this Sunday. So for now, let's go ahead and move on to the actual drawing process that I did for this character. I feel like my number of sketches that I'm doing for these characters is just slowly increasing as time passes. I did a lot of sketches trying to get this character's face right. I started with the full body sketch, and I actually made two full body sketches that were very brief that I was very unhappy with before moving on to the third one, where I finally was content with the way the body was coming out. There is no artist who just makes art perfect every time. It's a process. You do things, and you do them wrong, and then you do them again until you do them right. That's how art works. So in terms of the clothing, some of the winning combinations were that he has skinny jeans as well as a varsity jacket, which I was actually pretty happy about because I've not drawn a varsity jacket before. It was a fun experiment for me. Got to look up some like interesting reference images. Other winning polls in terms of his clothing were combat boots, fingerless gloves, and a choker necklace, which I thought was very interesting, as well as long hair. I don't remember why I chose to make this character a guy. I didn't have a gender poll. I'll have a gender poll in the future. When I do these, I always try to have a full body drawing and a more dynamic drawing, something to kind of express the character's personality. This character's main hobby is actually parkour, so I originally tried to draw him kind of crouching. However, I could not get my drawing to be as good as my sketch, so instead I went with like a jumping parkour pose. Hardcore parkour! I made sure to draw his long hair flowing in the wind. At the time, I didn't notice that his arm was just a little bit too big, but it's okay. That's what Photoshop is for. When I was inking it, I feel like I made his jeans just a little bit too baggy to be skinny jeans. And I also messed up the eye a little bit. Generally, I try to keep my lines as nice as possible. That way there's less cleanup that I have to do when I get into Photoshop. Also, when I was doing the full pose, I thought it would be kind of cool to have like his leg up on a ledge, because I imagine that he spends a lot of time up on rooftops. I don't know, I don't parkour. Anyway, on to Photoshop. So the first thing that I did when I got into Photoshop was to clean and fix the line art. That means fixing the eye, shrinking the arm down to an appropriate size. Usually I use highly saturated colors as placeholders, but today I decided to use grays. Lots of gray. Also, so you guys know, when I do the fill-in line work and a lot of the stuff that I do in Photoshop, I use this Wacom tablet. It's just a Wacom Intuos drawing tablet. I really want to get an on-screen drawing one. I kind of just want to get an iPad and use that as a drawing tablet with the Apple Pencil, but we'll see. I made sure that the sleeves were different colors from like the main vest part of the varsity jacket, because that seems to be how it is for most varsity jackets. Initially, I wanted to give him a very like gray, desaturated skin tone and make him look almost kind of like sickly, but I ended up making it a lot warmer because the main color palette that won was autumn. In the poll for color palette, there was a bit of a war going on between autumn and space, so what I decided to do is make his general color palette autumn, but because he's also a barista at a cafe, I want to make the cafe that he works at very space themed, so his work uniform is space. So depending on what he's doing, he has two different color palettes. Eventually I'm going to draw his work uniform, but I'm probably just going to randomly post that on like Twitter or DeviantArt. Keeping in tune with his autumn color palette, I gave him lots of browns, yellows, oranges, and deep reds. I also gave him some burgundy jeans because I have some burgundy jeans, which means that I know they exist. According to the polls, his hair is supposed to be black and white, even though he's only 18. And I tried a couple different variations, but I ended up settling on just having a couple areas kind of around his temple being silver. And I figured that this was probably caused by high amounts of stress and anxiety. He's got some mental illnesses that he needs help with, and he's not getting help with it. And it's negatively affecting his physical health. He's got problems, but we're gonna work on them. Mental illness. Also, according to the polls, his favorite color is supposed to be lilac, so I made the background a very lilac color. And then I added some white forms behind each of the drawings just to add kind of like a spatial definition. I make it sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I don't. I felt like the lilac theme was a little bit distracting, so I ended up adding like a leaf texture throughout it, also in terms of like following with the autumn theme. And then I desaturated it because it was just still too distracting. I also went through and I colored a little bit of the line art. Depending on the kind of look that you're going for, if if you color your line art, it will soften the overall image and make it seem more unified. Color your freaking line art, girl, or boy, or non-binary person. And then the last two things that I did was to add a couple shadows as well as sign it. Always sign your work, especially if you're going to be posting it on the internet. Lately, I've been trying to sign everything with my username so that I'm a bit more searchable. That's how my life is. Internet artists, that's how it works. Look at our fancy boy. Isn't he so fancy? So beautiful, so lovely, so parkour. So hardcore, so mature. Anyway, okay, so now that we've got the drawing down, we know what he looks like, the very last thing that we have to do is give him a name, and that's where you come in. So here's how naming this character works. For the first 24 hours that this video is live on my channel, you can suggest whatever name you want in the comment section below. If you see other names that you like, please like them so they rise to the top. Then, after 24 hours, I will be posting a poll in the cards. So, even if you missed the first 24 hours that this video was live, you should still be able to vote on the name of the character. And then after like 2 or 3 days, I come back here, have a look at the name that is the most voted on, and that becomes the name of the character. If the character already has a name and voting has closed, then you should be able to read it in the first line of the description. This is also why you should ring that notification bell, and that way you'll be able to suggest names. My notification squad, they are the ones who get to suggest the names. I will be putting all of the poll results in the description of this video, as well as on DeviantArt when I eventually upload this. I'm gonna get better about DeviantArt, I promise. It's gonna happen. I'm probably gonna move my live stream times back an hour, so I want to start doing them at 1 p.m. instead of 2 Arizona time. I'll post some like time zone conversions here, and then you can see where it is based on your area. Here's some really cool fan art from really cool people who drew the previous original characters. You guys are awesome and talented, and I love you. Also, the original character from our last video has an official name, and her name is Willow. Also, I'm gonna give you like 700 awesome points for making it all the way to the end of this video, and for waiting as long as you did for this video to come out. It took a while, but I made it. I think that's everything. I'm gonna go do things. You have an awesome month of Halloween, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. I am digging these contacts. I am the Spider Queen. So red and black. So red and black.